What if the two most destructive forces in the Clover Kingdom didn't just fight side by side, but fell in love? Think about it. The man who cleaves dimensions with a single swing. The woman who treats the heart of a volcano as a casual training ground. One, a brooding foreigner who commands the abyss. The other, a royal who embodies the sun's raw fury. They are opposites, yet two sides of the very same coin. Absolute, uncompromising power. Their story didn't begin with poetry or flowers. It began, as all things did with them, with a fight. It was in the aftermath of the elf reincarnation arc, a time of rebuilding and reflection. A restless energy plagued the Clover Kingdom, and it was most potent in two individuals. Mereoleona Vermillion, having tasted a power beyond anything she'd known, was itching for a real challenge. Yami Sukehiro, now a recognized hero, was bored out of his skull with paperwork and diplomacy. Their paths crossed in the royal capital. Mereoleona, striding through the halls with singular purpose, found Yami leaning against a wall, looking profoundly irritated by a noble's droning speech. "You," she said, her voice a low growl that cut through the chatter. "Foreigner." Yami's eye twitched, a slow smirk spreading across his face. "Wild woman, here to cause some trouble?" "I'm here to fight," she stated, as simply as one might state the time. "No one else here is worth my time, but you cut down a devil. Show me what that felt like." The challenge hung in the air, electric and undeniable. They didn't go to a sanctioned training ground. They went to the Scarred Lands, a magically desolate region where no one would bother them or be bothered by them. The fight was not a duel, it was a cataclysm. For 3 days and 3 nights the earth trembled. Yami's death thrusts carved new canyons into the landscape, while Mereoleona's calamity lion's roar turned the sky into an inferno. He used his ki to predict her every feral, unpredictable move. She used her overwhelming monozone to crush him with the very atmosphere. They broke bones, drew blood, and pushed each other's magic to its absolute limit. On the 4th morning, they both collapsed, not from defeat, but from utter exhaustion. They lay in a crater of their own making, the earth around them a fused mess of glass from her heat and deep, shadowy fissures from his magic. Yami, propping himself up on an elbow, spat out a mouthful of dirt. "Not bad, princess." Mereoleona, chest heaving, let out a sharp, genuine laugh. It wasn't a sound many had heard. "You'll do, foreigner." In that shattered, silent battlefield, something shifted. It wasn't a romantic confession. It was the deep, unshakable acknowledgement of an equal. He didn't see a royal to be respected or a woman to be coddled. He saw a warrior, pure and absolute. She didn't see an uncouth outsider. She saw a man whose strength was as deep and vast as the dark magic he wielded. A respect so profound was born that day, it could only be called love. Their courtship was as unconventional as they were. A date was hunting a rogue, 3-headed hydra that was terrorizing the common realm. Another was a contest to see who could eat a full-sized ash bison first. Yami won, to Mereoleona's immense and vocal annoyance. They communicated in grunts, smirks, and the shared language of combat. He taught her to feel the flow of Kai, sharpening her already instinctual movements. She pushed him to expand his monozone, to feel the fire in the air as well as the darkness. When Yami, in his own way, proposed, it was not with a ring. They were sitting by a campfire under a blanket of stars. "You know," he grunted, poking the fire with a stick. "My place in the woods is too quiet. Could use some chaos." Mereoleona raised an eyebrow, a feral grin playing on her lips. "Are you asking me to move in with you, foreigner?" "Shh. Someone's got to keep the monsters away, and you're the scariest one I know." Her laughter echoed through the forest. "Fine, but we're adding a bigger training ground." Their marriage was a quiet, private affair witnessed only by the captains of the 2 squads who had become their found family. Fuego Leon gave his sister away with a look of bemused pride. The Black Bulls, for once, were speechless with a mixture of awe and terror. The reception devolved into an arm wrestling tournament. which Mereoleona won, defeating a very drunk Luck in the final round. They built their life in a rugged, sprawling lodge deep in the Vermillion family forests, near a mountain range Mereoleona had claimed as her personal domain. The house was built of enchanted stone and reinforced timber, designed to withstand the occasional indoor sparring session. There was a hole in the western wall from a misdirected death thrust that Yami always promised to fix, but never did. It became a feature of the home. Their domestic life was a perfectly balanced chaos. Mereoleona was the hunter, often returning from a walk, dragging the carcass of a magical beast larger than their cart. Yami was the cook, a skill honed from his early days of survival, and he could grill, smoke, and season any meat to perfection. Their arguments were legendary, but were always settled not with words, but with a duel in the backyard training ground. The resulting tremors and explosions were simply part of the local weather forecast for the nearby villages. But the true world-altering legacy of Yami and Mereoleona Vermillion was their children. The heir to their power was a son they named Ignis. From the moment he was born, the air around him crackled with latent energy. He had Yami's sharp, brooding eyes and his mother's wild, fiery red hair. Even as a toddler, his gaze was intense and observant. His magic manifested early, during a tantrum when he was 4. Instead of simple fire or darkness, he unleashed a plume of black flame that didn't radiate heat, but instead seemed to suck the light and warmth from the room, leaving a chilling silence in its wake. It was Hellfire and Dark Magic, a terrifying and unique fusion. His flames were not merely hot, they were voracious. They consumed light, sound, and the mana of opposing spells, leaving a void in their wake. Ignis was a quiet, stoic child, much like his father. He preferred observation to conversation, his mind constantly working. But when he fought, a transformation occurred. His mother's feral grin would split his face, and he became an unstoppable force of nature. His training was a brutal refinement of this power. Mereoleona took him on her infamous survival trips, pushing his body to its absolute limit, teaching him that true strength was as much endurance as it was power. Yami, in turn, honed his mind. He taught Ignis to read ki, to feel the flow of battle, to see the tiny weaknesses in an opponent's stance before they even moved. "Don't just blast everything, kid," Yami would grunt, effortlessly dodging a stream of black fire. "Feel where they are before they know it themselves. Your fire shouldn't just burn, it should trap." Ignis's signature move, developed by his teenage years, was the Dark Sun Annihilation. He would condense his Hellfire Dark Magic into a deceptively small, perfectly black orb that hovered in his palm. Upon release, it would expand, not with an explosion, but with a terrifying silence, erasing anything it touched from existence. 2 years after Ignis, their daughter, Akari, was born. Where Ignis was a simmering volcano, Akari was a spark that refused to be contained. She had her father's unruly black hair, but it was her mother's piercing golden eyes that looked out at the world, always alight with mischief and intelligence. Her magic manifested not in a fusion, but in a breathtaking duality. In her right hand, she could conjure the pure, untamed fire of the Vermillions. In her left, she could wield the consuming darkness of her father. She was a whirlwind of chaos and creativity. Akari possessed her father's laid-back, lazy genius attitude when unprovoked, often found napping in sunbeams or skipping royal functions. But the moment a challenge presented itself, whether a new spell, a powerful beast, or a teasing remark from her brother, she would unleash a torrent of energy that was pure Mereoleona. Her training was less about discipline and more about harnessing her boundless imagination. While Mereoleona drilled her on the fundamentals of fire, teaching her the Calamity Lion's roar, Yami taught her the spatial properties of his dark magic. "Your brother's power is about ending the fight," Yami told her, as she practiced creating small portals. "Yours is about controlling it. Don't just hit them. Hit them from where they least expect it." Akari mastered this beautifully. She developed a technique she called Blinding Void Fist. where she would coat her fists in compressed dark magic and superheated fire, delivering punches that could both crush a boulder and vaporize it simultaneously. Her most ingenious move was using a dark portal as a conduit, firing a beam of her mother's fire magic from behind an opponent while she stood smiling in front of them. The Sukehiro Vermillion household was the most formidable training ground in the kingdom. Dinner conversations were analyses of battle tactics. Family outings were expeditions to hunt S-rank magical beasts. Asta, who looked up to Ignis with starry-eyed admiration, would often visit, only to be thrown into a friendly spar that left him bruised but inspired. Noelle and Akari developed a fierce, competitive rivalry that pushed both of their magics to new heights. The Black Bull's base became a second home, and Vice Captain Nacht, upon seeing the two children in action, was heard to mutter, "There are two of them now. The world is doomed." When Ignis and Akari finally became Magic Knights, they didn't just join, they shattered expectations. Ignis, with his calm demeanor and devastating power, was a natural fit for the Crimson Lion Kings, becoming its vice captain under his uncle Fuegoleon and acting as an unshakable pillar of strength. Akari, drawn to the chaos and freedom, became a Black Bull, instantly becoming the squad's most powerful and unpredictable asset, her cheerful demeanor belying the cataclysm she could unleash. Together, they were an unstoppable duo. On a joint mission to quell a rebellion in the neighboring Diamond Kingdom, they faced a legion of elite mages. Ignis simply stood at the front, creating a wall of black fire that consumed every spell hurled at them. Akari, giggling with delight, teleported behind the enemy commander using a chain of dark portals and tapped him on the shoulder, her fist already glowing with the blinding Void Fist. The rebellion ended before it could truly begin. The Clover Kingdom entered a golden age of peace, a Pax Vermillion. It wasn't a peace won through diplomacy or treaties. It was a peace enforced by the simple, terrifying knowledge that the kingdom was now protected by a family where the line between man and natural disaster had been permanently erased. Enemies didn't surrender. They simply chose not to exist anymore. So, the next time you feel the ground shake from a distant impact, or see the sky light up with an unnatural fire, remember the story of the foreigner and the wild woman. And ask yourself one final, haunting question. What kind of world awaits now that the bloodline of the sun and the void has been unleashed?